This guide will walk you through how to interpret your results from an AI simulation. So in the viewer, you'll have access to all the results layers from your completed scenario. So if you just click this plus add button next to layers, a pop-up window will open where you can choose which results layers you want to view. So since this is for an AI simulation, all of the results layers will be horizontal. So basically this just means that the results will appear flat on the presentation services you provided when you uploaded your geometry. So first, you have the directional wind layers. So you'll have one for each wind direction you specified when choosing your simulation parameters. So these basically will just show the intensity of winds in your study area when blowing from a particular direction based on an average of all 4 seasons. So for reference here, the wind directions being in degrees correlates to a compass. So for instance, 0 degrees is north, 90 is east, 180 is south, and 270 is west. So next you have the pedestrian wind comfort layers. So you'll have one for each season plus an additional layer based on all 4 seasons. So these will show the degree of comfort pedestrians will experience in your study area based on RWDI's abridged wind comfort criteria. So let's see what this actually looks like. So I'm going to select all these layers and add them. They appear over here. So first, we'll look at one of the directional wind intensity layers. So to see what these colors mean, click this scale bar looking icon at the bottom right of the window. So as you can see, the wind intensity when winds are blowing from the north is quite mild. So as we go through the different layers for each wind direction, we can see that wind intensity in the study area is different based on the direction we're looking at. So if you click on this icon in the top right of the screen, a windrose will show up for the study area. So basically, a windrose shows which directions winds are blowing from over a certain period of time. So for the wind direction layers, the time period is the entire year, but for the pedestrian wind comfort layers, this time period will be that specific season. So additionally, the windrose also shows how fast winds are blowing and how often winds blow at particular speeds. So in this case, winds almost always blow from the south. This is actually reflected in the results. So as you can see, for the wind direction for the south, wind intensity is strongest, and same for these southeast and southwesterly directions, but they're relatively mild for the rest. So now let's look at the pedestrian wind comfort layers. So as you can see, this is somewhat different. When we open the color legend, each color represents a different activity which pedestrians will feel comfortable doing given the wind conditions. So for instance, in blue areas, winds are so weak that pedestrians will generally feel comfortable doing something very passive, such as sitting and reading a newspaper. In the green areas, winds are weak enough for pedestrians to be comfortable strolling, but strong enough to become a nuisance to people sitting and reading a paper, for instance. And in these red areas, winds are strong enough that pedestrians will feel uncomfortable doing almost all activities. So if we go through the different layers for each season, we can see that the comfort levels are slightly different for each season. And if you look at the windrows, we can see that the wind conditions are indeed slightly different. So in the summer, for instance, winds blow faster for a greater share of the time, so comfort is generally lesser. If you'd like more details on these wind criteria, so for instance the range of wind speeds deemed suitable for each activity, please check out the analysis type section on the help site. Anyways, that's it for this guide. Thank you for watching.